Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, a lot of things are happening in our once free country known as the United States of America. But right now, our country is literally being transformed by Joe Biden's administration and the Democrats into something akin to that of North Korea, China, or Venezuela. I mean, so many nefarious moves are being played by the Democratic Party. And I'm going to show you at least the 5 most important ones that the Democrats are now dealing us here in our country, and how it is definitely leading to not only a communist style country, but full-fledged tyranny on a scale that we have never witnessed or seen before. But as a quick reminder, get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. Right now, I am only going to offer this limited time offer of 24 months. That's 2 years for $5 a month using the code FREEDOM. Every day, we are removed from platforms for what we say and speak. And there's certain topics that you're never going to hear on YouTube anymore because they have been banned. To get that information, subscribe right now to restrictedrepublic.com. I cannot urge you how important it is to start getting on these alternative platforms, but support what we do. Use the code FREEDOM and get on Restricted Republic and get that unrestricted, uncensored content. And by the way, we do live stream events as well there on the platform. All right. Now, we were told originally from Biden and his administration that they wanted to come on to return things to normal. This is what we heard over and over again from the so-called moderate president, aka Joe Biden, who is anything but a moderate, especially Kamala Harris, who, by the way, has the most radical left voting record of all the Democrats. I did a report on that on Restricted Republic, by the way, but here it is. Vox.com, Joe Biden promises us a return to normalcy. Like Trump before him, Biden is offering a politics of nostalgia, but nostalgia is a powerful force, he says. Now, this is what we were promised, but I am seeing anything but any normalcy from Joe Biden. In fact, he's gone 180 in the other direction. So what are these 5 most nefarious moves made by the Democratic Party and specifically Joe Biden and his administration? Well, the first one is this: amnesty. Now, when Joe Biden was on the campaign trail, he made it very clear to everybody that he was going to reverse everything that President Trump did to secure our borders, including stopping the building of the wall. Joe Biden also campaigned on the fact that he wanted open borders and he wanted to go after amnesty for everybody and just letting everyone and anybody come in. And as a result, as most of you have now seen, we have a literal crisis at the border because they are coming in by the tens of thousands due to the promises that Biden and the Democrats have promised these people. And unfortunately, they're met with these facilities where children are round up in sack and pack little places and being wrapped in tinfoil. It's just above and beyond anything that I have ever seen. But this is what's going on at the border. But again, it's tearing our country apart because when they come in, this is going to send a lot of middle-class America to the poorhouse because the Biden administration, as well as the Democrats, intend to get money to help those people from somewhere. And the only place that they can get it from is your and my pocket. I can guarantee you, we're already seeing tax increases coming from the Biden administration. And I didn't even include that on my list. It should have been included. But these massive tax hikes are going to destroy us as a country in addition to what's going on. But here it is, foxnews.com. Democrats are now urging Biden to include amnesty for some illegal immigrants in second spending bill. Yes, they're going to slip it in or try to slip it in like they do with everything in a spending bill. Democrats have made a number of attempts to legalize those in the country illegally. The article goes on. Democrats in both the House and Senate are urging Biden to include a path to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants in the second part of his spending package, just as similar amnesty efforts are stalling elsewhere in Congress. A letter, which was written by all these people, of course, all Democrats, call on Biden to include Citizenship for Essential Workers Act in the second part of the spending plan. That bill includes a pathway to citizenship in the American Families Plan for those designated as essential workers, right? It would be included in the second part of the spending plan with signers arguing essential workers have paid a terrible toll. Now, here's the actual letter that was penned by the Democrats there, but you can see, Dear President Joe Biden, very recently written April 13th, right? We urge you, prioritize the inclusion of H.R. 1909 S747, the Citizenship for Essential Workers Act, which would create a pathway to citizenship for millions of immigrant essential workers as part of the American Family Plan, your legislative pact on the job and infrastructure. So they're really pushing to have that as part of that infrastructure or your legislative package on jobs and infrastructure. Just slip it in there, Joe Biden. Boop. And that's what he's doing with everything. He is literally destroying and turning the United States of America inside out. And keep in mind, this is already happening on a very economically severely impact economy. Like, we are suffering. The middle class, by the way, this whole COVID-19 pandemic, the middle class has literally shrinking. The middle class has gotten worse and the poor class has gotten bigger. Guess who got richer? Yeah, your Amazons, your Facebooks, your Google, all those people, the billionaires at the very top. And these are the policies that the Democrats are putting forward. Here's the second thing. I kind of went on amnesty, but the second thing that the Democrats are trying to do right now, reparations. But they aren't telling us who yet is going to pay for these reparations that are being demanded. But here it is, foxnews.com, and this was just published a day ago. Judiciary Committee approves a bill funding a commission that could recommend reparations. The bill provides $20 million to create a commission to study the effects of slavery and Jim Crow era laws and what they had on blacks. Now, the article says this: the House Judiciary Committee voted 25-17 Wednesday night to approve H.R. 40, which would establish a body to review racial disparities and a form of national apology. Wait, what? To the black community. The committee votes pushed forward legislation that would allocate $20 million to create a 15-person commission to study the effects of slavery and Jim Crow era laws have had on blacks. The body would then recommend appropriate remedies to Congress. What this article does not tell us is who's going to pay reparations. We, the American people, like everything else? Obviously, this is a horrible thing. And you know what? I have so much more to say on that. That's why you have to get on over to Restricted Republic. But all I'm going to say is, to put it very simply, is this is going to cause tensions in the United States of America like we have never seen before. This is not going to be something that is going to be good for our country, in my opinion, but it's a radical transformation that is going to split the United States of America as we know it, right? All right, moving on. The next thing here, the third thing is federalizing our U.S. election. And of course, these little Democrats are doing it or attempting to do it through H.R. 1. But here it is, foxnews.com, this article here. House Democrats pass extensive voting and campaign finance reform bill, H.R. 1. This legislation would create a new $3 billion public financing system of our federal election. The article states, for the people, which is not For the People Act, always go the opposite of what they claim, by the way, but for the Not For the People Act of 2021, known as H.R. 1, passed by a vote of 220 to 210. Not a single Republican, not one, joined with the Democrats in approving the sweeping voter rights reform that now heads to Senate. Why is this a problem? Here's what our Republican leaders are saying. Steve Scalise says every single American should be outraged by this. Democrats just voted to ban voter ID nationwide, to ban it. There is absolutely no reason for that. And force, unless you want to cheat, right? And force every state to permanently expand mail-in voting, which is where the most corruption happens. Moving on a little bit, Representative Vicky here says, tonight I voted against H.R. 1. Protecting the integrity of our elections should be of utmost importance. Amen to Congress. But the legislation attempts to politicize our institutions, federalize our elections. That's what it's doing. And fund political campaigns, politicians. Campaigns. To be more specific there, Representative Alex says this, today I voted against it, which amounts to a federal takeover of our elections, he says. This power grab would undermine ballot integrity and restrict the voice of each individual citizen in our election process. Amen. And then finally, I pulled this one. Representative Michelle here says, elections belong to the people. They do. The so-called For the People Act would concentrate power among Democrat politicians instead. It doesn't give power to we the people. It concentrates it to the Democrat powerhouse. We have to understand, if H.R. 1 goes through, I honestly don't think there will be another Republican that we will ever have another Republican president until our election is fixed and treated like it should. Like we should have voter ID to vote, just like we have voter ID for pretty much everything else under the sun, right? To make things more secure, right? This is an outrage. The next thing here, number 4, is they're going to try, and they have been trying, to ban the Electoral College. I have warned about this, but here's a Breitbart article on it. Nolte says tyrannical Democrats are introducing bill to kill the Electoral College. Now, this was back a little while ago, but I want to bring it up because it is not off the table for the Democrats. And as a reminder, Hillary Clinton pushed this, foxnews.com, and it says Hillary Clinton called for abolishing the Electoral College after casting her vote for Biden. Okay, that isn't off the table. Mark my words. This is going to rear its ugly head again and again. And this is one of the destructive policies that literally is going to flip the United States in favor of the Democrat. All these are amnesty, reparations, federalizing the election, banning our Electoral College, all flipped in favor of the Democrat. Now, here's the final thing that I'm going to focus on. Keep in mind, there's lots of other things. Like I said, the massive tax hike that Biden is doing, but there's also their latest move, and that is packing our U.S. Supreme Court. This will be the final straw that destroys the United States of America if this goes forward. And here it is, foxnews.com. Democrats kick off push to pack Supreme Court with 4 new justices. Lawmakers introduce bill to increase the court from 9 to 13. Why would they want to add 4 more seats? 4 more seats specifically, and I'll show you right here. Progressives, however, said with Democrats in control of the House and Senate and White House, now is the time to balance out the court. Why? Because it is currently 6-3 with a conservative majority. What that means, right, is right now we have about 6 conservative Republican style people on the Supreme Court and only 3 liberal Democrats, right? So if they add 4, suddenly, we have 7 liberal Democratic Supreme Court justices, 7 of them, and only 6 Republicans. Do you see how they do that? They are, if this happens, this is going to open the door for the Republicans to say, okay, let's add 20 more or 10 more, whatever we want. So we're going to have this massive packed Supreme Court, and this is an outrage. Even Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was against it. Believe it. She was against it for a reason. She's a liberal. We're not on the same side by all means, but this will be the final straw that destroys the United States of America. Again, folks, you got to get on over to Restricted Republic. I can't stress that enough, right? There's so much information that I share on there. I share new videos all the time. You can just get a glimpse of some of the things that we're talking about here. But all this information that we're not allowed to talk about on alternative platforms, you've got to get on over to these other places. And right now, like I said, I'm limited very limited time offer. $5 for 24 months. $5 a month, you can get it. Use the code FREEDOM to get that offer. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thank you so much for listening to me here on YouTube and Restricted Republic. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.